it was the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland. And it's familiar disaster territory for Disney, as the article mentions right here. This by Marvin Montanaro. Boy, oh boy, was this attraction. Oh, man. I mean, I thought I saw it all with Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World's opening was bad enough. Obviously, we had major evacuations and so forth, Code 101s, in-show exits, all of the above. But no, they decided to up the ante with Disneyland's version of this attraction. And man, was it... it was a troubling
day. When do we
day.
get to the point where opening days that don't open are going to be called not a bug, a feature, because they happen so often?
It's the intention. Tiana's Bayou Adventure had its grand opening at Disneyland yesterday. That's November 15th. And much like its Walt Disney World rollout, the West Coast debut of Splash Mountain's replacement was plagued by endless technical issues that left the attraction down for most of the day. Never mind the fact that this new water-based attraction opened in November on a day that saw temperatures peak at 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Whoopee! Throw me on a water ride. Oh, that sounds like great fun. The biggest issue facing the attraction's West Coast debut was once again extended downtimes that saw the long-awaited log flume down for more than 7 hours on its first day of operation. By the way, I want to go ahead and shout out to Chris CW on Twitter. If I'm not mistaken, that's I always forget that name. And also to AWM Trends on YouTube. They helped us out tremendously putting this article together. So I just want to go ahead and shout them out. I'm going to shout them out again here in the article, but just want to point that out. According to sources in the park, the attraction was down for the first 3.5 hours of the day. Disney then got the new ride working, only to have it break down again for another extended period. Kind of see right here, Laughing Place noting that the filming was taking place and that everything was getting ready for this thing to finally open, but unfortunately it did not open on time. This is eerily similar to Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening in Orlando this summer, where the attraction suffered from massive delays and downtime that often left riders stranded and in need of evacuation. Many had hoped that Disney had learned from its mistakes over the last several months and implemented changes to prevent another Tiana Titanic. But alas, it seems as though history is doomed to repeat itself at the happiest place on Earth. Adding insult to injury was the presence of Trita Carter, the project leader on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The Imagineer attempted to ride the attraction on its official opening day at Disneyland, and her big project broke down before she even left the station. And there you go. Provided by AWM Trends, YouTube. That's Trita Carter right there, sitting in an attraction that she was the lead on, stuck, this time in the loading zone. They eventually got it running, but soon after they let her log go. They had to evacuate that log as well.
Can I just say, is the ride operator there actually rocking a Star Wars?
No, I think that's someone in line.
I think somebody in line.
Okay, we can only hope.
yes, but everybody was.
No. If it was a Disney ride operator, he'd be with an Epic Universe logo.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Please, Bob.
So here's the thing. I was not there for opening day. For most of you that have been following me, you know that I had surgery a couple weeks ago, right before it actually grand opened. So I wasn't able to be there for the grand opening, which is a bummer. I watched a lot of my friends who were streaming. It was sad to see that this ride was down for so many hours, especially on its first day. The funny thing is, you know, my source was telling me all along, this is not ready for the 15th. Don't know why they're doing this. They're going to do it anyhow. And then she's like, I don't think the opening day is going to be that great. I'm like, well, previews weren't too bad. And then boom, first day was horrible. So she was right. The good news is it hasn't been completely horrible since it opened. I mean, that was a disastrous first day for it, obviously. And by the way, it's broken down. Let's see, the first time I went to ride it, it broke down on me. I was able to get on it later. And then Theme Park Casual, who's in the chat. Hey, Theme Park Casual, how are you? He actually got a virtual queue for both of us, and we went to go ride it, and it was broken down when we arrived at the park. But it opened within, I think, about 20, 25 minutes or so. And we were able to get onto the ride. But yeah, it's definitely has had its downtimes. I think the most disappointing thing for me is that there's always been at least one or more animatronic not working. The first time it was Lewis, second time was Mama Odie. And then as I've been watching a lot of my friends who've been streaming while I've been recovering from surgery at home, I've noticed that Mama Odie her mouth is still not moving. Juju never comes up. I've never seen Juju the snake come up once, which is really disappointing that they're having these issues. At least the ride's working out. I mean, I don't care if animatronic's not working, but if the ride's working, that's good. But yeah, it's really disappointing to see that the same things in Walt Disney World are happening here in Disneyland. However, as you guys probably saw from my D23 interview with one of the Imagineers, I asked them, well, what are you guys doing different from Walt Disney World so that you don't have the same issues there that you don't have the same issues at Disneyland as you did over there? And he just basically said, well, we try to learn from our mistakes.
We rebuilt the way that we distribute power. We rebuilt the way that we distribute water. We changed up the pumps that are in certain areas. And we corrected the timing and sensors. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that they had to do. Yeah, and look, I mean that part of the park notoriously underpowered. There is not a power plant. There is now. There wasn't a power plant over there that was up to snuff, and they were pushing it there always for a long time.
Yeah. And that probably goes into the history of Disneyland, how it kind of grew out to that section of the park. It previously held the Indian Village, and that was about it. Yeah. And then obviously it's built over, with Bear Country, then Critter Country, now Bayou Country, and so forth. So this is a log flume attraction, which log flumes have been around since the 1960s. This specific attraction has been around since the 1980s and was one of the most reliable in the park, from what I understand. I've had some people come to me and say, yeah, I mean, if you look at the uptimes for all the attractions, Splash Mountain was, usually up a pretty good length of time in comparison to maybe something like Indiana Jones Adventure, for example. And now it's followed Walt Disney World as being one of the most unreliable attractions, and it's super unfortunate. And everybody was in attendance to see it. Anybody remember this video with going over the critters and going over their designs and so forth? Well, she was there, so there you go. That's something. And also too, Trina Carter stuck in her own attraction and was evac'd from it. Also too, Erika, if you're interested in some Tiana's Bayou Adventure merch, well, don't worry, because we have the merchandise lines for you. This is Chris W. here, as mentioned before. There's no word on whether Carter attempted to get others to join her in a song during the extended downtime, like the voice for Mama Odie did back in Walt Disney World. Another embarrassing moment for the House of Mouse. It seems as though Disney grossly overestimated the demand for Tiana's Bayou Adventure merchandise. The company set up massive queue area for the debut merch with 10 registers and 18 switchbacks. This being in the old Starcade there. However, this was the crowd at 4 p.m. on opening day. You can see these images right there. Not a lot of demand, I would say, for Tiana's Bayou Adventure merch, at least in Tomorrowland.
This looks like the third day at a D23 event where all the merch has been picked over and nobody really is shopping it anymore. This being opening day, this would be rather embarrassing, to be fair. So yeah, and what a waste of space in the Starcade. Where are all my favorite video games at? Really upsetting.
I know, right? I mean, what is going on there? The Starcade was always it was like an institution. You remember the culture, the big X-Wing? They used to be over the escalators there.
I hated it. I hated everything about Starcade because it's Disneyland. Why should I go there to play things that are at every mall in town?
I don't know. They got
the idea that you pay an admission ticket and you're going to go see all this amazing stuff and entertainment. I mean, talking when there was. And then instead, people are in there playing Galaga and it just it seemed to me to be Disney denying their elevation. I hated everybody.
What would you rather have in there? 2 more bays for Star Tours? Come on.
Well, that's not my point. My point is that the idea of a video arcade, and especially that was in the area that was the future.
I think at the time, look, arcades were big in the 80s, right?
They really were, yes. And every mall and every hotel had a,
I know, but it was Disneyland with arcade, man. And I know we're not from the same generation, but I
I'm
thought
just saying 90% of the rides were the
same.
same as you found outside, and the others were very lightly reskinned. So
This is an interesting, fascinating conversation. I didn't know it was going to go this way. Lou, not a fan of the arcade.
Yeah.
By the way, did they have two arcades too? They had this one and the one in Bear Country, right?
oh
They did.
yeah, but that was
This
later.
is two-story.
That was in the next to that mile-long bar thing.
Yeah, the Mile Long Bar.
And those at least
funny.
had the penny making machines that were germane to the area, you know.
Yeah.
But
Finally put the X-Wing fighter over into the store, though, instead of leaving it where the old Starcade was, where it was being unused. So,
yeah, I suppose. But golly,
And,
put in a merch store if you have to. But
here, Lou, here, look at this sign. Make you happy. I change it since we're talking about Tiana.
oh, whatever. I just never got. By the way, the first log flume ever was a thing called El Aserradero at Six Flags over Texas. And I have a photograph from Knott's Berry Farm of the very first riders of the log flume at Knott's Berry Farm.
Ooh.
Guess who? John Wayne and his son.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
I remember
awesome.
John
Go on
Wayne.
this log, whether you like it or not, partner.
They were the first ones. It's such a cool story. Super cool. The Knott's Berry Farm log flume, by the way, inspiration for Splash Mountain for sure. Tony Baxter was there opening day examining that log flume as a kid, and then later designing his own log flume in the form of
Here's the
Splash
link
Mountain.
to the picture of John and his son. So
Absolutely. It's super cool history. And by the way, now the best log flume in all Southern California. So there you go. That's look at
Very
that.
nice.
Look at that. Isn't that great? Fantastic. The history of these parks is the coolest thing here for sure. But yeah, not so good. Also, too, one more thing about the story that went a little bit underreported, but I got to include it here for you guys. They provide some guide maps for everybody. So that they could have, this momentous occasion be honored with these paper guide maps that they usually do with attraction openings. And, well, they did one for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. However, I'm not sure who that is right there.
Yeah, I have all sorts of issues with this map. I mean, it's not just her. It doesn't look like Tiana here, right? Her hand's cut off. What's with her hand cut off right there?
yeah, it looks like Long John Silver got involved in this thing. Captain
Maybe
Hook.
it's in the log, but it just looks stupid. And then
That's her identical twin, Stumpy.
okay, what's up with the
No.
mountain? The mountain doesn't even look great. I don't know. Or
That
I'm
is
sorry,
AI generated art.
I was just going to say, it looks AI.
It is very it's gotta
Tiana's
be AI.
flapper extravaganza. I don't know.
Yeah,
She's-
and I don't think I would get in that sinking log. I mean, that we know that they've had issues before, and that log is definitely submerged. Look, Don Ducky Williams isn't doing the throwaway art anymore, so you can't rely on good stuff like that. You get this instead.
I know some artists, local artists, who have actually done work for Disneyland Resort, designing basically the disposables, so like paper cups, paper plates, and so forth, napkin art, this kind of stuff, and they're very, very talented. And now Disney going cheap with that as well, it would appear. So you can see the results there. You can see
the
her
body is
design.
out of scale, and
Yes.
Well,
I
it
don't
is. Go back to the map. Did you see how she's holding the lantern, by the way?
Let me see here. Oh yeah, she's holding it like that.
Like this. It's like, okay, I don't know anyone that holds a lantern like that, but okay, fine. Hey, hang 10.
Yeah, I guess so. You're gonna be impacted by a wave of water because people are still getting soaked on this attraction right now.
I don't know.
And again, what is that? What's the high over there, Bob?
Oh, it's been in the 60s during the day. So 64 to 66. Sometimes
Sounds
a little higher.
wonderful.
we got down to 34 here last night, and it's going to be that way the next 4 or 5 days, and that's cold.
The high was 34 for us today.
Oh well, see, that's why I don't live in Germany.
Okay.
But,
Erika, you want to get soaked here on Tiana's Bayou Adventure in the winter?
Nope.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. Since we're talking about this, you see all these people putting ponchos on, They're not even working. I don't even know why people are putting ponchos on, because seriously, people are getting really soaked, especially people sitting in the first, few rows of this ride.
Yeah.
Thankfully, both times I didn't get too wet. I think I got really wet just because there was a lot of water on the seat. So, but other than that, I didn't get soaked or anything like that. But I have not been sitting in the front because I've got my gimbal in the back and I don't want anything to happen to it. So,
yeah, well,
this is just.
I think I've told the story, but if I haven't, I will again. Of being
Please.
on this pseudo Pirates of the Caribbean flume thing at Six Flags in Norfolk, Virginia, Williamsburg, whatever. And it was literally, you could buy them at the local Walmart, aluminum dinghies. And it was going down the flume thing and up the hill. And inside were like bad department store mannequins in bad pirate suits going, yo, 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 yo. And then we get ready to come out the door to the one big drop. And I'm in the front row and there's a guy behind me. And I realize there's nothing going to keep all that water out of this boat. So I happen to have my little fold-up umbrella. So I opened it and hunkered down beneath it. And the water went right over me and my umbrella and just flooded this guy sitting in the back seat. I was not popular, but I was dry. I mean, oh, God.
Oh, man.
If you can't do it right, don't do it. That's my theory, but what do I know?
Well, I think that's accurate. I think this whole Tiana thing has been a debacle from stem to stern. It was conducted under a bad reasoning, let's say, and it didn't get the funding that it probably deserved, and definitely Tiana deserved, and certainly the guests deserved. And now we're stuck with this attraction that is not even good in terms of its quality.
Their heads were into the virtue of what they thought they were doing.
Correct.
But their budget and effort was virtue signaling.
Oh,
and that's the difference between waving a flag and launching a battleship, so.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised that it's such a disaster, because I kind of was hoping that they would have learned from Disney World, and I kind of had more hope for Disneyland, and to hear that it's just the opening.
Well, and at Disneyland, they did not have the handicap that they had in Florida of the moldy, humid, destroyed building.
I kind of expected.
We have dry heat in Southern California, so until we send people down waterfalls, so then it becomes not so dry a heat. I think, guys, seriously, for whatever our Christmas show is, we need to create some carols, and I'm thinking one of them is like, on the first day of Tiana's, Disney gave to me animatronics not working, and a splash, and build it all up to the big.
Build it all up?
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny. Perhaps we could do something like that. That was a highlight from our live stream on That Park Place Podcasts online, where the full stream can be found at the link in the description. But what about you? What were your thoughts on this particular story? Please let us know in the comments below. Like this video if you did like this video. Share us out, as it helps us out tremendously against the YouTube algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. T3, BO. Please comment, like, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to That Park Place Podcasts online, your source for exclusive content and highlights from WDW Pro, The Pro Show, and That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.